The king was dead. Silence fell upon the castle. No more laughter echoed through the halls. No more music filled the air. Only the hushed whispers of servants remained. The king was a good ruler, fair and just. He cared for his people. Now he was gone. The queen had passed away many years before. They had no children. Who would rule now? The kingdom held its breath. Uncertainty clouded the future. The chancellor was a wise man. He knew the kingdom needed a leader. Without a king, chaos would follow. Enemies would see weakness. The people would suffer. He had to act fast. The law was clear. The king's heir would inherit the throne. But there was no heir. The chancellor paced his chambers. There had to be a solution. His gaze fell upon an ancient book, magic. The kingdom's only hope lay in magic. Roy, the court wizard, was not what he seemed. He possessed no real magic. Oh, he had tricks. He could conjure sparks and make smoke appear. He had fooled everyone for years. The king had enjoyed Roy's spectacles. They were amusing. But now the kingdom needed true magic. The chancellor summoned Roy. "Find an heir," he commanded. "The fate of the kingdom depends on it." Roy felt a chill. His charade was over. He had to think fast. Roy bowed low. "Of course, Chancellor," he said. "The spirits need to be consulted. This is a grave matter. I must perform a ritual, a very powerful ritual." He knew he was buying time. Just a little time. He had to come up with a plan. The Chancellor studied Roy. He saw the fear in the wizard's eyes. He sensed something was amiss, but what choice did he have? "Very well," he said. "Report back to me tomorrow. Do not fail." Roy hurried back to his chambers. He paced back and forth. His cat Midnight watched him with wary eyes. What was he to do? He couldn't reveal his secret. He would be thrown in the dungeon. He had to find a way out of this mess. He thought about running away. But where would he go? He had no money, no skills. He was a fraud. Desperation clawed at him. He had to come up with something, and fast. An idea began to form in Roy's mind. A risky idea, a desperate idea. He would tell the Chancellor he needed to consult the High Council of Spirits. They were ancient and powerful. They could surely help find an heir. The Chancellor wouldn't be able to question him. No one had ever spoken to the High Council of Spirits directly, except Roy, of course. He would make it up. It was all a big bluff, but it might just work. The next day, Roy stood before the Chancellor. He had aged 10 years overnight. "I have spoken to the High Council of Spirits," he announced. His voice shook a little. The Chancellor leaned forward. "And?" he asked, his voice a mere whisper. "What did they say?" Roy took a deep breath. "They will help us," he proclaimed. "But it will be a long and arduous process. We must be patient." The Chancellor's shoulders slumped, a mix of relief and worry washing over him. "How long?" he breathed, the weight of the kingdom pressing down on him. "They will send a sign," Roy declared, hoping to sound more confident than he felt. "A sign of who the rightful heir is. We must wait for their guidance." Inside, though, his stomach churned. What if the sign never came? What if his charade was exposed? Days turned into weeks, weeks stretched into months. The kingdom held its breath. People whispered in hushed tones. Hope battled with despair. The Chancellor grew more impatient with each passing day. Roy, meanwhile, was running out of time. He knew he couldn't keep up the charade forever. He needed a miracle, but where would he find one? The fate of the kingdom hung in the balance.